What kind of lube do you need for your bike? Today we're going to look at dry and wet lubes, when you should use them. I know that out in the world of cycling that there are a lot of options, and you can get very specific, very detailed onto the kind of lubricant you're using on your chain, whether you're using wax or you're using different oil base or filament base, whatever kind of chain lubes you find out there. This is going to be more of a simple guide to the kind of lubes you should use on your chain based upon the kind of riding that you're doing. The general rule, which is pretty simple, is the wetter the conditions or the dirtier the conditions, you want to have a drier lube. What's that mean? That means as you apply the lube and as it cures or connects with everything that's there, on the outside of the chain, you don't have nearly as much lube feel. It feels almost like a drier chain. That way, as you're riding, dirt, dust, mud, that kind of stuff doesn't as easily collect on your chain and your pulley wheels and everything else. So a drier lube is great for your gravel and mountain bike riding, or if you know it's going to be bad weather. That dry lube just does a really good job making sure everything has the low resistance it needs to function and shift properly, with collecting as little extra as possible. The only caveat to that is a drier lube tends to need application more often because it doesn't have as much moisture to it. It needs refreshing more consistently. But we'd recommend, if you're running in dirtier conditions, gravel and mountain bike, and you're running that dry lube, your chain's still getting dirty enough that you're going to need to clean it more frequently. So that dry lube application process needing to be more often shouldn't be an issue because you should be cleaning that drivetrain more often. On the other end of the spectrum is going to be your standard hybrid fitness and road riding, where you're typically riding in dry to clean conditions on dry pavement. In those scenarios, you want to use a wet lube. Yes, it will have a little bit more of an ability to capture road elements, dust and dirt, but because you're not riding literally on a dirt path, that collection is going to be minimal. That allows the chain to have even less resistance as it's moving through the drivetrain system. It allows it to shift well and last for a long time. So with your road bike, you should have less frequent times that you need to lube your chain. Now again, you still need to clean things. You can't just go on for 6 months and not lube your chain. We recommend lubing your chain every month, every other month, just to base upon the conditions that you're riding in. So the two options we have here at the Bike Lab are from Muck Off and Rock and Roll. So Muck Off has their, and it's funny because the colors are opposite, has their dry lube and their wet lube. And really, we think it's as basic as the dry lube is for gravel and mountain, and the wet lube is for fitness, hybrid riding, and road riding. If you're on pavement, choose the wet stuff. If you're out in the dirt, choose the dry stuff. This lube applies more traditionally, whereas you tip it upside down and put it on the chain, you're going to have a little bubble at the end, and you just do one drop per link. And this one just kind of drops slowly as you apply it, which is more like a traditional lube way to apply that on a chain. The rock and roll stuff, now I don't know if you can see very well or not. I'm going to kind of move this around a little bit. There's this kind of waxy film at the bottom of it. So when you use the rock and roll lube, you need to shake it up to mix all that together. And then as you apply it, it's recommended that you leave it overnight to fully set. It's a combination of this filament and the lubricant in here. As it's mixed together, it kind of cures or sets up so that it's able to do its job. With rock and roll, you're going to have your gold is going to be for your road bikes. It's a little wetter, and it allows it to stay lubricated for a longer time. And the blue is for more extreme conditions. Again, your mountain biking, your mid-south gravel events, your gravel stuff set up. It's going to work a little bit better for that, keeping that drivetrain protected and lubricated through that ride and accumulating as little extra on the chain as possible. So as you have questions about lube, how often to clean, how often to do all sorts of things, you can leave them in the comments below, or if you're on our website, the little blue chat bubble in the bottom right side, we can help you out there as well. But that's a real quick guide as to which lube you should use on your bike based entirely on the kind of riding and conditions that you're riding in.